One of the problems for many women when it comes to their love life is being stuck in a level of entitlement to a man's provision, to a man's care, to a man's leadership, to a man's protection, to a man doing certain things or not doing certain things for her. And there's no shortage of women today with that entitled mindset online, on TikTok and YouTube and other social media channels, where you can see them talking about like these are, all these expectations and things about like how they're owed something by a man, right? Basically, the message is, I'm owed this like being taken care of. The man has to take care of me. He has to do all of these things. He has to do this checklist of things to take care of me, for him to deserve me, that kind of thing. Now, some women would confuse that with self-worth, right? Because it's certainly different than being, say, a doormat woman who settles for crumbs, where it's like, oh, I'd really like to be taken care of and I'd like these things and I'd like to be going out on dates and stuff, but she settles for basically nothing, right? A man who mistreats her, who's inconsiderate, who doesn't really take her out, who just uses her for sex and all that. Like, that's clearly a woman who lacks self-worth. But a woman who is exhibiting all of these expectations and entitlement to a man's provision, she's also lacking self-worth, specifically feminine self-worth, just in a different way. It's like she is really stuck in entitlement. And on this video, what we're going to talk about is the difference between a woman's entitlement to a man's provision and her self-worth. When a woman's truly in her feminine self-worth and is communicating it and showing up that way properly, and the different outcome that she's going to get, right? Because one's going to get her single or stuck with an emasculated man, and the other is going to get devotion from a masculine man who just wants to take care of her and absolutely loves it. So hello, I am Zach Rohde, and I am here to lead you into creating the relationship of your dreams by learning how to inspire a man to cherish you with your feminine energy and with what I call feminine communication. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, make sure you do that below, hit the notification bell, and be sure to like this video because I am going to make sure that it is a good one for you today. So, what's the difference here? What am I talking about? If you believe that you are owed anything from a man or from men, from your specific boyfriend or husband, you're stuck in entitlement. Okay, so let's make this really real. We'll draw this in, use my own experience here. If my wife believes that I need to be doing things for her, like she has that belief, it's like you're supposed to be, you should be. These are good words. These are good entitlement words. You should be, you're supposed to be, or you should not be doing. When a woman is stuck in that, she is entitled. It's basically a form of energetic slavery. Like real slavery would be using physical force to force somebody to do something against their will, right? And you can certainly be entitled to, having a slave, though that's not, hopefully, that's not typical today in the West. But there is also energetic slavery, which comes with entitlement, where it's like you have this energy, this belief that you're holding on to, that you are owed something from somebody else, right? Zach should be, cleaner, or Zach should be, giving me a certain amount of money a week for an allowance. I give my wife an allowance, by the way. Oh, that's a good topic for another video. Coming soon. Or, my Zach should be taking me out on more dates, treating me a certain way. All of that is an entitlement. And when a woman has that entitlement, it's going to come out with blame in some kind of way, right? Because when a man doesn't fulfill her expectations, and a man typically won't, certainly not all the time, but especially when she has that mindset, that entitlement mindset, she's going to feel some level of anger. Right? There's going to be blame associated with that anger. It's like, you did me wrong by not doing the thing that I wanted, by not giving me the thing that I wanted. And if you think of like a spoiled child, like, this is my toy. I deserve this toy. I deserve this candy, right? When, it's supposed to be mine. Does that inspire care from a parent? No. Now, parents might give in because they feel guilty, or because they want to buy the child's love, or because they want to shut the child up. But it's not inspiring devotion. It's not inspiring care. And it's the same thing with a woman with these kind of expectations. Now, a woman's not necessarily going to be crying about it like a toddler, though she might be. Some women on TikTok certainly do. But the point is that she's holding on to those expectations, and a man is not going to be inspired to care. But again, might he do it out of guilt? Yes. Might he do it to avoid being abandoned? Yes. Might he do it to please her because he's a people pleaser? Yes. He might do it for all kinds of reasons, but it's not coming from a place of devotion. For a man to be devoted to a woman, to be truly inspired to cherish her, this is an energy, this is a frequency. A woman cannot be exhibiting any entitlement to his provision, right? And his provision is anything that he gives through his leadership, right? His time, his money, his attention, gifts, dates, planning, boundaries, loyalty, literally everything. So if a woman is holding on to that entitlement, a man's not going to be inspired. He is going to feel on some level, and this can be very subtle. She doesn't even have to say it out loud. He's going to feel energetically enslaved by her to some degree. And then he's either going to comply with that or he's going to resist it. He's going to want to do the opposite. Just like a child, right? Children will do the same kind of things. Like we don't want to be, as human beings, we don't want to be energetically controlled. By the way, same thing with a woman, right? Like, I'm not going to get into it in this video, but a man shouldn't be entitled to anything from a woman, right? Not her submission, not sex, not her time, not anything. And if a woman feels that, how do you feel when a man is like exhibiting that entitlement to your time or sex or body or whatever? You don't feel good. Now, you might comply, right? You might resist, you might judge, you might do a whole bunch of things, but it doesn't feel good in your body. And think of the difference, since we're on this topic, the parallel here. What's the difference between a man's entitlement to you, to your body, versus a man who is in his dominance, who's in his power, who's leading you into doing what he wants, basically? So I'll give you an example. Let's say he wants sex from you. When you feel that entitlement, it's like, ooh, this is icky. Like, this doesn't feel good. Whether you give into it or not, it's like you're not turned on. It's not making you wet. It's not enjoyable for you in any kind of way. You don't want to open yourself up to him. But if he's like dominant, he's in his power, and he's like, hey, sweetheart, come here. And like he grabs you and he kisses you or tells you to take your clothes off or, to go on the bed, whatever it is. And he does it with that strength and power and conviction, but not from this like energetic coercion. He's not trying to force you to do it or guilt you or shame you or make it an obligation. It's just power, right? Hey, sweetheart, go do this. Yeah, he's telling you what to do, but he's doing it with this love, power frequency that unless you got a whole bunch of wounding in the way, and many women do, it's just going to feel good for you. And you're going to be like, yeah, okay, let's do this. And then you'll want to submit to his leadership and we'll say give him what he wants, but another way of framing it is receiving what he wants to give you, right? Because if he's, a man that's in his power, yes, he's going to enjoy sleeping with you, but energetically what he's actually doing is giving you a sexual experience, which is going to feel good, or whatever it is, right? It's giving instead of taking. So if we look at it in these kind of energetic terms, giving versus taking, you can see taking is going to be a form of entitlement. It's not going to feel good. We don't want to be taken from, but do you want to be given to? Yeah, sure. With women, it's a little bit different, right? Because with the masculine pole, he is the giver. Like the healthy man, he's energetically giving. And he's giving to give. He's giving just because he loves to give. It feels good to give. A taker, right? He's giving to take. Like he's giving to get something back. It's a form of manipulation. Or that would be manipulative, but he could also just be overtly trying to take as well, which is also a problem. But all of that is entitlement. All of that you're going to feel. He doesn't even have to be telling you what to do. You can just feel the entitlement energetically, whatever he's doing. But for women, the feminine pole, it's completely different. When you are healthy, you are receiving. It's like you are opening yourself up to receive and being grateful for what you receive. So here's a good example. It's like a first date and he takes you out for coffee. And this is a separate video as well I could do because it's a big one. Many women are against coffee dates because they think that a man isn't like valuing them enough. So they're like, no. And so it's like this entitlement to a dinner date, which is weird because I don't even know why a woman would want to go on a dinner date with a man that they barely met, or with online dating not even met at all. With my wife, I started with a coffee date and then I took her to another place and then I think we went 3 different places, but we started out on a coffee date. But anyway, if my wife had exhibited this entitlement of like, I am a high value woman and I deserve a dinner date, and I felt that, I wouldn't want to take her anywhere. Like, you know what? Let's just part ways here. This is enough. I don't want to spend any money on you whatsoever because I can feel your entitlement. Here's another example, is paying for a date, right? Back then it was a little bit different because I was a 50-50 man. I hadn't grown up. But say today, let's say I met my wife. I love to pay for her. I love to take care of her, and I would love to pay for any woman when I take her out. Not because I'm trying to get sex or get anything from her, just I like being in that role of taking care of a woman. That's the role that a man is supposed to be in. Whether she has a job, whether she can take care of herself or not, it's like, it feels good to pay. And for a woman, it feels good to be paid for, to be taken care of in that way, unless she's got a bunch of shame and guilt around that. However, many women will feel this sense of entitlement where it's like, I deserve to be paid for. I should be paid for because I'm a woman. That kind of energy. And when when you have that energy, a man's going to feel that on some level. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to say, hey, you're the one that's supposed to pay for the date. It's just a frequency. A man will feel it on some level, and he will lose a lot of his inspiration to take care of you. If not right away, it's going to become more and more obvious over time the more that he gets to know you. And that devotion or that desire to take care of you, it's just going to die. Because he's going to feel energetically enslaved. Because here's the thing, it's not going to feel like he's giving a gift. Masculine men love to give gifts, but if you are exhibiting entitlement to that gift, it doesn't feel good to give the gift, right? It's like an entitled, snobby child at Christmas Day. It's like, do you want to give them presents? No, because like they feel like they're owed those presents just by being themselves. That's not self-worth. That is entitlement. A woman who's truly in her feminine self-worth, she's going to feel gratitude for what she receives, even if that's just a coffee date, right? It's like, oh my God, thank you for paying for this date and for planning this and everything. Now, we got to be careful here because we could look at this and be like, well, then a woman could just be settling for crumbs, right? And obviously a woman who settles for crumbs, who's just grateful with the little few crumbs that a man gives her, is that a woman in her self-worth? No, it's not. Right? So this is where a lot of the subtlety comes in. There's a lot of nuance here. And a woman needs to, she's not connected to this conceptual idea of like what she's owed or what she deserves. It's more that she's connected to her deep need inside of her. She doesn't believe that she's owed anything from a man. It's just whatever he wants to provide and I will be grateful for it, right? But she also feels that need of, I do need certain things to feel fulfilled and cherished and everything. One of your needs is to be provided for on dates. And by need, I don't mean like you're not capable of paying yourself, but it's like that feminine need to be provided for. You need to be protected. You need to be heard and seen, and a whole bunch of different needs that you have. You're not owed that. You're not entitled to that because you're not entitled to anybody else's time. Even a man who marries you and says, hey, I'm going to listen to you and cherish you and provide for you for the rest of your life, you're still not owed anything from him. Even if that's a promise, right? Because that would be slavery. That would be energetic servitude. Just like he's not owed sex from you forever just because you're married. Now, in a polarized, healthy relationship, you would be opening yourself to sex and he would be financially providing and doing all of these other things, right? In the most polarized dynamic possible. But nobody's owed anything. Nobody is owed anything. And this is a really important concept to really understand and integrate, because until you do, you're going to be, all the things that you feel entitled towards, you're not really going to be getting, or at least not by a masculine man. You might get it from an emasculated man. And this is something that I have also worked on with myself, and I've taught my wife this. This is something that we talk about because it gets in the way of polarity. It gets in the way of devotion, right? As an example, if I feel that I'm entitled to her respect, oh, that's a good one, right? Like you'd think that would be pretty common sense. Every man should be entitled to a woman's respect. No, I'm not entitled to that because she's a free person. She can do whatever she wants. Now, she can't continue to be in a relationship or marriage with me if she's continuing to be disrespectful, right? Like I am also free to choose to leave and find somebody else. Right? If this is no longer a marriage that's working because she's continuing to resist my leadership no matter what I do, but I'm still not entitled to it. And so if I exhibit that entitlement through getting angry at her when she is disrespectful, how's she going to feel? Is she going to want to follow my leadership? Is she going to feel that respect for me in those moments? No, she's not. Because I'm trying to take from her. I'm trying to take her respect because I feel entitled to it, rather than me giving her a gift of my leadership to lead her into respecting me. Totally different frequency, right? Your job as a woman is to, like I said, it's to open, it's to receive from a man. When you're truly receiving, you feel grateful for what you're receiving. If you are not feeling grateful for what he's doing, then you are stuck in some kind of entitlement issue. If you don't get what you would have hoped for, right? Like maybe he plans a date and it doesn't go perfectly. Can you still be grateful for how it went, just for the fact that he tried, even though it wasn't exactly what you wanted, even though he could have maybe learned about you a bit better to understand what would have made you happier? If you can't, right? If there's no gratitude there for him putting in the effort, well, then there's entitlement there. You're stuck in these beliefs about what you're owed, what you're entitled to, rather than being fully open to receive his gifts, receive his provision. A man is inspired when a woman receives his provision. When it's blocked, he's not inspired to want to give anymore. So the more that you block that, the less he's going to want to give, and then the more kind of resentment you're going to build up, and then, eventually you might be like, I deserve better than this. I'm entitled to so much more than this. I'm going to dump this loser and find a man who truly respects me and knows how to take care of me. But guess what? You're probably, I'm not saying definitely, it depends on where you're starting, but a lot of the time you're just going to find yourself in a similar situation, or you're going to find yourself with a doormat, because it was coming from entitlement. The reason that he lost that devotion, that inspiration, is because you were blocking it the whole time. So you're going to block it with the next guy, and the next guy, and the next guy, until you learn how to let go of all of that and fully open yourself and receive with gratitude. Now, how to do that, I'm not going to go much into this, but essentially a lot of it's going to come down to you being self-aware of yourself, what's going on, your inner processes, understand and see your entitlement and be self-honest about it. Feel all the feelings that come up around it, right? The irritation and the it's yucky feelings, right? Where you feel entitled. That doesn't feel good and open. And you're feeling it all fully, and then over time that just starts to dissolve and you're able to fully open yourself. Now, other things you can do is also learn how to communicate to a man, let him know what's going on for you, ask him for help using feminine communication. This is all stuff that we do in our academy program with women, right? Because guess what? Most women are going to have entitlement problems, and one of the things that we see with clients is they have entitlement to our provision, right? I mean, it's understandable. They're paying us money and everything. So we're entitled to a certain amount of provision and everything. But the very fact that they have these certain expectations blocks the provision. Now, of course, we're going to be legally obligated to give it anyway, but we're also, we'll call it morally obligated, or through our masculine code of honor, we need to lead a woman out of that entitlement into her feelings, into letting go, so that she can feel gratitude for what she's given by sharing her feelings vulnerably and using feminine communication to communicate when she's exhibiting entitlement. The entitlement itself actually isn't the problem. It's staying stuck in the entitlement and not being aware of it and not knowing how to communicate to a man when you have the entitlement, when you notice it. Right, that's what's going to really kill everything. If you have it, if you notice it, but you know how to use feminine communication to inspire a man to help you and to shift it, that's fine. I mean, it's not as good as not having it at all, but that's what's going to get you on the path of eventually letting go of all entitlement and just being able to receive a man to take care of you. So this is what we do for students, and I mean, we do a lot more for students as well, but ultimately it's the same process. Helping a woman with her feelings, learn how to feel everything fully, learn how to communicate everything that she's experiencing in a way that's going to inspire a man. And we correct women, we correct our clients when they get this wrong, and they do. We do it lovingly, of course, but by shifting this communication over and over again and helping them just feel over and over again, redirect to the feelings, feel all that unprocessed wounding, and then actually get the care that they need, eventually the woman heals. And what she's also doing through this process is she's learning how to communicate her needs and feelings in a way that will inspire a man into taking care of her in the future. Or if she's with a man, then learning how to do it, and we just troubleshoot that with a woman. And this is life-changing, because this is what you need. You need to be taken care of. You need to be cherished, which means you need somebody, ideally us, to help lead you out of that entitlement stuff, to show it what you're doing, help you feel it, and help you actually heal it. If you're interested in that, go below this video, into the description. All of my offers are there, not just my Academy offer, but all my offers. So you can read through them. If anything really, jumps out at you, start learning from that one. But if you're interested in working with us, if you can feel resonance with what I'm saying, if you'd like help with this issue or any of the other issues that I help women with, then go to the link that is thedreamrelationship.com. Learn about what we do in the video there, and it's free, and book a call with me. And then we'll talk all about your issue and see if you're right for our Academy program and if we can help you. Either way, work on this entitlement stuff, because you need to have that devoted man in your life. You need to truly receive from him rather than take from him.